Hello, beautiful soul. Welcome to Blissfully Bloom. I'm Victoria LeBlanc, a self-love and soulful coach, and I'm your host. The intention of this podcast is to guide women to fall in love with themselves, embody confidence, and drop the stories of not good enough. Your soul will awaken to the truth that you have always been worthy. In this remembering, you no longer wait for permission, validation, or acceptance. You choose yourself, and you become a woman who blissfully blooms like a rose, showing the world your authentic self, talents, and gifts because it's your birthright. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Blissfully Bloom. I am so excited to be back and up and getting those episodes back out there. I know it's been a while, and I just want to thank y'all for being really patient. I know my last episode that I posted was around December. Oh, that feels like such a long time ago. So to give y'all a little rundown of where I have been these past few months, I feel like this has been really a space for me to remember what truly brings me joy and what lights my soul up. So I have been really spending time with friends and building those soulful friendships in my life that I know are going to last a lifetime. Just really focusing on moving my body in a way that nourishes and supports me, on play, and it's been a lot of self-discovery phases. I feel like the self-discovery phase really truly never ends, and I have just been learning a lot about myself these past few months, and I wanted to put the podcast on a hold and on a little hibernation phase so that I can really step into this cocoon phase that I feel like I was going through. I really needed to put down the to-do list and instead pick up the be list. How can I be more? How can I experience more joy, more happiness, more love, more abundance into my life? So during the past few months, I actually decided to invest in a coach for the past 3 months, and it has been truly one of the best decisions I could have made for myself for 2022 and for part of 2023, because I had this business coach, her name's Razna, for about 2.5 to 3 months, but we took some breaks, so it kind of led off into January, but it was truly magnificent. I feel like I didn't really admit to myself my worth and what I am worthy of. And I didn't recognize that I am worthy in investing in myself. I am worthy of saying yes to a journey of growth and evolvement, right? And I think during this journey that we embarked on together, I began to really uncover the parts of myself that I didn't really accept and I didn't really like to admit even to myself. Even though I thought I was loving myself unconditionally, and I call myself a self-love coach, right? I wanted to be this perfect self-love coach. I wanted to be this coach that has it all together, this coach that has everything in line and practices what she preaches, right? But in all honesty, I was still choosing things that were the opposite of self-love, like burning myself out and not prioritizing my self-care. Or I was feeling jealous of other coaches and their paths and kind of doing this negative comparison online. And so that's why even today I'm not really on social media just yet. I'm gonna slowly get back into the groove. But I really had to look deep within myself and ask, why do I experience these things? Why do I respond in this way? And why do I feel the need to compare? Why do I feel the need to burn myself out to that point of overacting my nervous system and putting it in overdrive to where I'm literally so exhausted, so drained, and I'm screaming for love. I'm screaming for this acceptance within myself, but there's something within me that is resisting that. And I really couldn't understand the why and the deeper root. But I think during this coaching journey, we really untackled and uncovered what it truly was. If you're doing this work, if you're discovering more about yourself and really uncovering those parts of yourself that you want to turn away a little bit, it's important to recognize that these might have been protection mechanisms or a part of you that has clung on to this way of being for so long because it has protected you in some way. So really give yourself some grace. It's important to, like, while in the process of recognizing your worth, while in the process of fully accepting yourself, it's really important to give yourself that grace, give yourself that compassion, even while in the process of loving yourself. You can still do that while in this journey. And I think that's the most beautiful thing about it all. I think the journey in itself, I feel like sometimes we're like, oh, I get through this journey and the end result will be that I love myself, or the end result will be that I truly accept all that I am. But I think it's honestly throughout the journey, you are practicing self-love. You can choose to practice self-love. You can choose to go a different route, go a different path, and see the difference that it makes in your life. Because while we were unfolding all of this, and I was admitting the truths that I was going through, and the really hard truths, I really asked Rasna, well, how can I start to shift these behaviors that I am clinging to? And it's hard for me to let go right now. And I was so, so grateful for her because she really created this space of non-judgment, of acceptance and understanding for me. And so it was really easy for me to open up to her. We really untackled the aligned actions that I can take to really shift these behaviors. And now I'm not saying that it's going to happen overnight, because I'm still dealing with these and I still feel them come up. But it's now that I'm fully aware of them, it's like this awareness has helped open my eyes to what can be. Because now that I am aware of what is really going on and admitting and being honest with myself now, once I was honest, I was able to see where I really wanted to head, what I wanted to do about these behaviors and habits that I was holding. One thing that we tackled is creating a list of affirmations for myself. And what I did was I looked at some affirmations on the I Am Affirmation app. I looked at some that really resonated with me, and I just wrote them down on a piece of paper. Now, what affirmations are they can be positive or negative statements that you repeat to yourself on a daily basis. And the affirmations or the statements or messages that you repeat to yourself will eventually become who you are, and they will be a reflection of the way that you speak to yourself, the way that you treat yourself. This really, really helped me during our time together. I created a little new habit for myself. I've never truly dove and devoted into affirmation work, but I keep in mind when you're searching for affirmations, you can always create or change it in a way that really works for you. And I like to make affirmations that make my heart just tingle, and I can just feel the emotions stirring up within my soul. That's how you know that the affirmations are going to do some really magical things for you. If it creates an emotion within you, a positive feeling, a positive and uplifting vibration within you. So what I did was, each morning I would go up to the mirror, have these affirmation statements up in my hand, and ready to read them aloud. Now, I didn't just look straight at the paper. I made sure to kind of read them in my mind beforehand, and then looked in the mirror and looked into my eyes while saying the statement. At first, it felt a bit out of the norm. It felt a bit, this is a little, it just felt really, really weird to me at first. But over time, it started to become really, really amazing. And I would feel the difference in how my day went. And when obstacles or challenges arose during the day, beforehand, I think I would be really, really hard on myself, and I would feed into those negative messages that were occurring in my mind. But now, with these affirmations, instead of my default going into the harsh side of the voice, I chose the uplifting side. I chose the voice of truth, the voice of compassion. And the more often that I did this, over time it did start to feel like a flow, and it did start to feel a part of my life. And then another thing that I discovered was that it was like my business and my podcast and my coaching offers and even my morning and evening routine started to feel like work. And that was how the burnout phase started to really overtake and started to become about. Everything started to feel like a chore, and I felt like I was forced to do the things that at first were passions of mine, right? They were something that lit my soul up, but then it started to feel like my soul was being caved in, and there was some heaviness in my chest there, where beforehand I felt so light, I felt uplifted and free. The one thing that I told Rasna was that I started to really think of my morning and evening routines as very, very structured. So I would go on Insight Timer and choose a meditation, then a breath work. Then I would come out and read for a little bit. Then I would listen to a podcast. And if I had time, I would journal or do some yoga. And it was literally the same thing every single day. What she told me was that when you have this structure, it could feel really nice at first because you know exactly what's going to happen and it's not unknown. But then it feels like your creativity is, in a sense, blocked off. Because when you show up in the morning, you might feel like doing something different than what you did the previous morning, right? Because you wake up a whole new different person. And this is what I didn't really fully grasp until she said this, because it fully made sense to me. I was thinking, what? That is why I feel like this has trickled into all of the other endeavors that I have pursued, because I truly thought that it had to be this or that, and that was it. And I didn't give myself wiggle room or any sense of flexibility in that. It was like I was doing the opposite of what I truly wanted to do, because I wanted to express more authenticity. I wanted to be more flowy and abundant and experience this effortlessness throughout my day. But when I chose to be very, very disciplined, and it was a very masculine way of doing my morning routine and evening routine, I blocked off my feminine energy. And the feminine energy is very much the flow, the effortlessness, the play, the presence in it all. When I looked at it that way, I understood what needed to be done. I understood what needed to shift. And that was just waking up and feeling into what I wanted to do that day. Now, I could still have a list, right? I could still have a list of options of what I could choose. And hey, if I wanted to move outside of that list and outside of the box, I could totally do that too. But when I have options, when I give myself the power to choose what I actually wanted to do, then it made such a drastic difference, because it was like I made friends with the unknown. Because even though I knew that I was going to commit to a morning routine that day, I knew that my ritual was going to look different. It might feel a bit different, but the intention was still clear. The intention was still the same, that I wanted to start my morning, to start my evening off with joy, with bliss and peacefulness. Once I started to change and shift my perspective around my morning and evening routine, I felt like it automatically shifted the way I saw things with my podcast or my business. And that's kind of why I took a break on the podcast for a little bit, because I really wanted to reevaluate things and give myself some space and time to reflect on where I wanted this podcast to head, and really reconnect with the reason why I chose this podcast and why I created this podcast in the first place. And then with the business side of things, I started to create more play and fun out of it, and ask myself, how can I enjoy this more? How can I create more experiences and create a process for building my business that is actually truly enjoyable for me? Like, I was putting too much pressure on myself. I was thinking that I needed this in order to achieve this result, right? The business and the podcast and my coaching offers, they are not who I am. They don't define who I am, right? And I think for so long I was attaching my worth to these things, because I honestly thought that, well, who would I be without these things? Who would I be without a podcast? What would that say about my worth? Would my worth diminish? Because I was attaching my worth to these things, I thought that I would lose myself without these things. And I didn't want that to be my mindset around my coaching, around the podcast, or whatever I offer in this world, whatever I create. I think that the creations that you bring about and that you birth into this world are not who you are. What you create does come from you, right? But once it's out, once the idea is out of you and you have manifested into your reality, it's now part of your external world, and it's not within you. Your worth isn't determined by your external world. It's determined from within. You get to choose to see your worth. And let me tell you, my friend, you are so worthy exactly as you are. And there's no need to go changing or fixing anything, because you're worthy for simply existing. You're worthy for simply being here and being a soul on this earth. And I think I just totally forgot that, and I lost touch with that. But I feel so ready to be back and to have this new lens of how I see my creations and how I show up in this world. I'm just so excited to bring you more episodes, and I just have so many ideas. But of course, if you have other ideas and you want me to talk about some topics, feel free to message me on my Instagram at blissfully.bloom. Another option could be joining me as a guest on my podcast. If you are interested in being a guest on my podcast, the doors are open and I welcome you in. Just go ahead and message me on my Instagram as well, and I can get you set up for our call together. I do virtual recordings with my guests, so it doesn't matter where you are in the world. I would love to have you. Now, a final note on this podcast episode is that if you feel like there are just some things that you would really, really like to change and you just really don't know how to go about it and you feel lost or confused, one key advice that I can give is to start to be your own coach. Because the questions and the answers, I promise you, are already there. If you would like to just take some time to grab a journal and write and write and write and question yourself, go ahead and do that, because there are going to be some really sometimes hard truths that are revealed. But once they are revealed, they're going to show you exactly what it is that you want to shift, exactly what it is that you want to change. And then the path may not be so clear on how to change it, but over time it will be. And if you want support and if you want a guide to help you throughout this self-love journey, I'm actually going to be hosting a self-love retreat this May, and it is going to be in Basalt, Colorado. We're going to have 3 different workshops, all focused on self-love topics, so mindset work, inner child healing, and body love and acceptance. I cannot wait for it to be here. We're also going to go on some hikes and explore Colorado together. I'm also going to show you the self-love practices that have really transformed my life, such as breath work, sound bowl baths, and meditations and yoga. So I cannot wait for this weekend. If you are super, super interested in attending, maybe you have some questions, of course, you can always feel free to message me on my Instagram at blissfully.bloom, or you can book a free 30-minute discovery call to learn more about it. But the link to book your spot, there's only 3 spots left at this point in time. You can find it on my bio, on my Instagram. But thank you so much for listening to this podcast episode, and I cannot wait to see you on the next one. Bye.